Okay, the zoning hearing board meeting will now come to order. Would you all please rise? We will salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Before we start the meeting, the zoning board had a short executive meeting prior to this meeting to go over business. Okay. Who do we have down there?
My name is Deborah Stanish. I am the new recording secretary.
Hi, Debbie. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Would you take the roll, please?
Absolutely. Ms. McFarland.
Here.
Ms. Cooley.
Here.
Mr. Borai.
Here.
Mr. Hart.
Here.
Ms. Esky. Here. And Mr. McClendon.
Here. Mine, but not mine.
Okay. Joe, you want to go over this? Shall we hold this for the start of the meeting, our statement?
Sure. I'll go over this.
Go ahead.
This is a continued zoning hearing for the application of Mr. Meyer. The zoning hearing board will give all interested parties an opportunity to ask questions and testify in connection with the applications being heard tonight. After a witness for the applicant completes testimony, you will be given an opportunity to ask questions of that witness. In addition, after an applicant has completed his case, you will also be given an opportunity to testify, which will require you to be sworn in as a witness. If you wish to participate in the hearing on an application, you should complete the entry of an appearance form, which will be provided to you by the zoning officer, who is sitting at the table next to the court reporter. We ask your cooperation in maintaining silence during the hearings so that both the board and the court reporter can hear the testimony of the witnesses. We also ask that all cell phones be turned off.
Thank you. Okay.
The zoning hearing board participated in a view of the subject premises for the Meyer application. Following that view, the board has a few additional questions of Mr. Meyer.
Should I start?
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Paul.
And this will be quick. I know we touched on some of these things. You were planning on having 3 residential units in the community center part of the property. How many cars do you believe will be required for each unit?
Probably 2 per unit.
2 per unit, that would be satisfactory?
I would say that would be, yeah.
In my notes, and this may have been something that I put down in error, I have something referring to a possible need for new stairs on the outside of the building. Does that ring a bell?
No. I know there's a ramp. There's steps to go into the large doors that go into the back.
And you don't need any additional emergency entrances or exits or steps or anything of that type?
I don't believe so. Everything's up to code the way it is now, because they have the community center there. But if there's need for steps, I'm gonna have to put them in, but the only steps that are actually there is for the ball meeting room area they have there now.
And one last question, getting back to the commercial part of the property. Your deliveries are usually made in what type of truck?
All different types of trucks. I get the pad trucks probably be the largest. That'd be like a 35-footer.
And that's a tractor trailer?
A tractor trailer. But if it causes any type of issues, which I definitely don't think it will, I can also have a smaller truck come in if I have to. These orders come in, 100 rolls at a time. So,
Out of 10 deliveries, how many would come in the larger truck right now?
maybe the large truck comes once a week, if not once every other week.
Okay.
The medium-sized trucks will come in for the deliveries of the most of the carpet coming in.
And those are generally box trucks or?
Generally, but there's some 25-footers.
Okay.
15-footers though.
Yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay.
Your contractors come in the morning and pick up their stuff
Yes.
and then leave? And then you said they don't come back in the evening?
Very, very rarely would they come back if they had to come back and get another pickup for a job, an emergency job that had to be done that day or something.
So
But very rarely, 8 to 4 is usually business hours. They're there 7:30, maybe 8, and they're out of there.
what do they do with the trash from the job the night before?
That would go in the dumpster towards the back. There's a dumpster in the back now, it'd be probably a larger one or a double one like that.
So they bring it back to the building the
Yes.
next morning before they get their new stuff?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. That's all I have. Tom?
Do you have any questions?
I had a question, but you said you would
Okay.
handle it.
Mr. Meyer, if that's all the questions of the board, Mr. Meyer, you submitted Exhibit A1, which was the application, the narrative, the plot plan, and an interior layout plan. The board is requesting that you submit professionally prepared interior layout plans for the proposed multifamily dwellings. They want them prepared by an engineer or an architect, and they want them to show dimensions like typically professionally prepared plans would show, showing the 3 different dwellings, the different bathrooms that are proposed and where they're going to be, the entrances and the exits, and they're going to give you 60 days to prepare those plans. That would be targeting the board's June 26th hearing date. They'd but they demand that you'd submit those 1 week in advance, so they'd be submitted by June 19th. All right? You think you can do that?
I want to have to investigate getting an architect down there, and I know it's going to be kind of tough to get somebody that soon.
All right.
I don't want to try, you know what I mean? We're not, they're not even ready for their building, so I don't know what the rush is, you know.
Do you think you can,
It's a good possibility.
Okay.
Make some phone calls about, and get someone in there to do all this extra work that you want done now.
do you know now that you're going to need more time than June 19th?
I want to see what I can do. Most likely, I mean, kind of come in and let someone know I need more time, how much notice do I, you know, I'll try to do it in the time frame, but,
Well, let me suggest this, that if you need more time, you already have my number. You contact me, okay?
all right.
And if you need more time, I'll alert the board that you're going to need more time, and that at the next hearing, either in May or in June, they'll indicate on the record that you're going to be given additional time, if they choose to do that, okay?
Okay.
All right. I don't think that it presses against any of the time restrictions of the municipality's planning code, but if it does, even slightly, do you agree to waive any time restrictions on the municipality's planning code if we were to hold the next hearing June 26th?
That's fine.
Okay,
I mean, they're not even done breaking ground over there yet, so I'm not in a rush.
okay. With that, we're going to finish tonight's hearing. The record is still open, and anyone who wants to appear or anyone who wants to be present for the next hearing, it's going to be June 26th in this meeting room at 7 p.m. Thank you.
I have some copies for you that you need. I'm not sure if you want me to.
Yeah, there was an exhibit that you mentioned.
Yeah, just showing that effectively control.
We're going to mark that as Exhibit A9. Thank you. A9 is a 2-page document.
Thank you.
It's titled Notice to Extend Settlement Date,
I don't know, did you run out? I got 2.
A9.
I give you 2.
Yeah.
Can I get a copy of all those dates you have and everything?
You need a copy of the dates?
Yeah, that'd be quick and just write it down.
I will.
All right, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you in June.
Oh, that's right. The board will take a 5-minute or 10-minute recess. while we switch gears here. Yeah, well, where's, okay, the meeting will come to order. We had a short executive session, and now we'll go to our regular agenda. We have a hearing, Z1405, Anthony Bronca, 2785 Audubon Road, Norristown, PA, 19403, represented by Robert L. Brandt, 572 West Main Street, Trapp, PA. The applicant is proposing to construct an additional garage on the property at 2785 Audubon Road. The garage will be attached to the existing garage. This matter was previously the subject of a hearing and decision by the zoning hearing board, but the project has been redesigned. The applicant requests relief from the rear yard setback of 30 feet instead of the required 60 feet, side yard setback of 3 feet instead of the required 25 feet, and maximum impervious coverage of 56% instead of the required 35% under section 143.37A2. Furthermore, under section 143.27A10, no more than one accessory structure for the use of a detached private garage as defined herein shall be permitted on the same lot. No more than one accessory building or structure for the accessory use of storage of lawn equipment, lawn care products, and household goods in addition to the one permitted, provided that said additional building structure is located within the zoning setbacks of the district. Okay, we heard it, and who do we have here tonight representing the applicant?
Members of the zoning board, my name is Robert Brandt with an office address of 572 West Main Street, Trapp, Pennsylvania, on behalf of, I call him Tony Branca. Haven't seen some of you for a long time. I've changed a little bit, put on a little weight, etc. But we all age. Don't write that down. Anyway, for your board's reference, I've provided you with an exhibit list that I put out there while you were in executive session, and I'm going to go through that, through the testimony. I sort of forget the protocol here. I'm going to ask him questions, and he'll stay seated, or would you like him to stand, whatever is easier for you.
Use the mic, that's all.
He's fine seated.
Yeah, he has a
Okay.
microphone there.
And I cannot improve upon the way you read the notice, but suffice it to say, Tony and his wife are the owners of the property at 2785 Audubon Road. Most of you know it, property very well. The property's in the R2 district. It has a 15,100 square foot lot, which is non-conforming, and it has currently a single-family residence, a garage, and a driveway. He wants to construct an additional garage, as was outlined in the notice with the testimony. So I guess I'd ask that Tony be sworn in, and I'll proceed with the testimony.
Someone for testimony about to give the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. State your names.
Anthony Branca, B-R-A-N-C-A.
Tony, your name and your home address for the record are what, please?
Anthony Branca, 3007 Penview Lane, Lower Providence Township.
All right, and in front of you, you have the same exhibit packet that the board does, and Exhibit A1, which I marked, indicates a deed to the property in your name, Anthony C. Branca Jr., and your wife, Lisa Branca, and that's a deed dated July 31, 2002.
Correct.
So you're, in fact, have been the owners of that property since 2002, correct?
That's correct.
And the zoning district for the property I announced as the R2 zoning district. Is that in fact true? It's the residential district?
That's correct.
Now, in the packet, there is a plot plan attached as Exhibit A3, and I'm going to ask you, if you can, to look at that plot plan And at the top right, if you're looking at it sideways, the top right corner indicates the property dimensions, and that's a plan that you prepared, correct?
That's correct.
And you're familiar with the dimensions of the property and everything that appears on that plot plan?
That's correct.
So what are the dimensions and area of the property as shown?
The area of property is 15,242 square feet. It's existing non-conforming. The property is 50 foot wide, and it's 302.85 deep.
And you indicated that the dimensions of the lot...
Excuse me, Bob, can you pull that microphone closer?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
You-
Okay, before we proceed, is there another copy of that material that I can reference?
I'll give them that.
I apologize. Now, you indicated that the property is non-conforming. What do you mean by that?
It doesn't meet current zoning at 25,000 square foot, or the minimum frontage.
Right. So in the legend that appears on that document, the right-hand side shows existing, and the left-hand side under required shows required.
Correct.
So the minimum lot area under the zoning regulations currently is 25,000 square feet,
That's correct.
and the minimum lot width is 100 feet,
Right, we're half.
and the front yard is 50 feet, side yards are 20, rear yard 60, maximum building coverage is 20%, and the maximum impervious is 35%.
Correct.
So if those dimensions of the ordinance were applied to this property, what would be the area of the permitted building envelope?
You'd be able to build like a 10-foot house. If you look at the dotted line on the existing plan, it shows the building envelope. It's 20 foot from each side yard. It would leave about 10 feet of building space
Okay.
in width.
Now, the property is presently being used,
Correct.
and it's used for what purpose?
The house is rented, and the garage is used for my personal use.
Now, taking the plot plan that appears on the left there of A3, why don't you describe for the board what that plot plan shows? There's different shading, there's white area, there's black
Yeah.
area. Why don't you tell the board?
The shading area is the paved areas of the lot. The front building block is the existing dwelling that's there. Then you'll see the horseshoe in the driveway, where the grassy area is. Going back is the existing garage there, and then the dark rectangle is the proposed garage there that we're looking to add on to the existing.
Now, if we're looking at the existing garage, it appears that your proposed garage on the left-hand side of the property would follow the side yard, correct?
Correct, yeah, it's going to be the same width, so it just follows straight back.
Right, so the existing side yard for the present garage is 3 feet, even though the ordinance is 20 feet.
Correct.
And the proposed garage, if you're fortunate enough to have the board approve it, the proposed garage would be 3 feet.
Will follow suit, correct.
Okay. I think I asked you this, but maybe if I didn't, describe the layout of the property, what you're proposing to do. Describe where you're locating the proposed garage, whether it's attached.
Yeah, it's right beyond the other garage. So if you're driving back the driveway, the garage will be on the left, and the new garage will be on the left as well. It would just be a continuation right there.
Right, so the black box, the black rectangle, is that the proposed garage?
Correct.
And the dimension from the rear yard is what?
Is 30 feet.
And the dimension from the side yard is 3 feet, correct?
Correct.
And what else does not meet the ordinance requirements?
Our impervious coverage doesn't. It doesn't actually meet now. I bought it without it meeting today's zoning.
So the required maximum impervious coverage is 35%.
Correct.
And when you bought it, it exceeded that.
Correct.
And if you're going to add the proposed garage, it's going to exceed it by more,
Yes, by 11%.
11%. So the proposed maximum impervious coverage would be, if you're permitted this by the
I'm
board.
sorry, 7%.
So the proposed maximum impervious coverage, if you're given this relief by the board, would be 56%.
That's correct.
Describe the dimensions of the new garage, if you could?
Garage will be 22 feet deep, which is the same depth as the existing garage, and 45 feet long.
And why do you want to construct an additional garage on the property?
I'm an avid car nut, I'll say. My sons are the same. I have 3 boys. And over the years, we've purchased a few different antique cars, and I really like to store them on my own property rather than renting other spaces and putting them in friends' and relatives' garages.
So you indicated this would be for personal use.
Correct.
Would you agree, if the zoning board would grant you relief, that the use of this garage would be for your personal use?
Yes, correct. I will.
Now, you've been before the zoning hearing board before on an application.
Yes.
That was denied in 2012.
That's correct.
And this property is basically the same piece of real estate, but you've made some changes to it, correct?
Yes.
And there are 3 changed circumstances that have prompted this reapplication to the board. The first one is the rear setback dimensions. Can you describe that for this board?
We were a little closer to the property line before, and we've made it a little bit further away, bringing the garage closer to the other garage. Back in, I think it was 1978, my neighbor directly behind me was granted relief for a 20-foot rear yard setback. And we're going to actually be 30 feet, so we'll be actually further than the property behind us,
So-
is the first item.
So that's the first item that's different and changed. The second item is the garage itself. How are the circumstances about the garage different now as proposed than they were back in 2012?
Some of the board members didn't like that there was going to be 2 different garages on the property, so we attached it with a roof, so that the roof connects the 2 garages, so it actually looks like one garage. It will be hard to see, actually, from the road, where it's going to be positioned behind the other garage.
Well, in a minute, we're going to show some photographs to the
Okay.
board, but we'll leave
Okay.
that for that. And the third area relates to the maximum impervious coverage. And what you're proposing to do this time is a seepage bed to control the runoff. Is that correct?
Correct.
And as Exhibit A4 in the packet, you have a detail of a seepage bed design.
That's correct.
Without going through the engineering criteria, that would bore most of us to death, could you tell us effectively how that improves the application from before?
Well, we talked about this before, and some of the board members before were consider having a problem with the water runoff. So we talked about a seepage bed as well, so now I designed something, I have a design for it, that we will put it in, so now I'll bring things back up to where they need to be. I don't want my neighbors getting any of our water, so we're going to control our own water in our own seepage bed.
And if required by the zoning board as a condition, you'd obviously have the township approve any design for a
Correct.
seepage bed and meet all the regulations that would be
Yeah,
required.
I'll have it drawn by an engineer and brought in for the,
And you would make sure that there would be no adverse stormwater drainage to any adjacent property as a result of the seepage bed. Is that correct?
absolutely,
Is it your opinion that the seepage bed will improve the property
absolutely.
and that the proposed impervious coverage would be mitigated by the seepage bed?
That's correct.
Okay, now let's go through, if you don't mind. I'm going to ask you a question about the nature of the surrounding properties, but I think pictures are worth 1,000 words. So
Okay.
why don't we take the pictures, and you have them in front of you,
Yeah.
and the zoning officer taught me how to use this and not hurt anybody. So the first picture would be number,
I'll tell you what, let's bring up number 3.
why don't you do the pointer?
Sure, make me the guy.
Well,
There we go.
you could stand there and do that.
Yep.
This shows my garage currently on the right-hand side and my neighbor's garage on the left, and the distance between the 2 of them, showing that it's 3 foot off the property line. You see the fence in the back, as you see that section right there, that's my fence right there, comes off the back of the property.
So the proposed garage would be following that same dimension?
That's correct.
Toward the rear?
Correct.
In
front of it?
Is that to the left or to the right? Let me go in here.
My garage will be to the right, my neighbor's garage will be to the left. The
Okay.
new garage will be beyond that. You won't see it from this picture, from this view. You wouldn't see the garage from this view. It would be on the other side of that right picture, the right building, it would be on the other side of it.
Joyce, go ahead.
Yeah, Tony, that's a
Do you
good
have a
point.
question, Joyce?
Where are you standing with regard to the property right now?
I'm standing, actually, the house will be behind me. I'll be standing between the two houses, between my neighbor's house on the left and my house will be on the right, facing the backyard. Actually, if you can see through the garages, that's the neighbor's garage in the back property. He's the one had the relief
So
of
where we're
20 foot.
standing now, you're not standing on Audubon Road, you're standing as though you were on Audubon Road, but you're behind your residential home
Correct,
you're in.
yes.
And why is that the same building with two levels, two roof lines?
Yeah, the garage, that has like a second story on it, the back section. That was the way I bought the property. Actually, we stuccoed it and sided it. It was pretty dilapidated when we bought it.
Is
The
that
garage-
storage also?
Yeah, it's just storage. It was falling down when we bought the property back in 2002.
Take your marker and go back. Take your pointer, go back between the buildings. You're going back toward Lantern Lane.
Right, that's correct. That's the garage on Lantern Lane. Okay, next picture, we'll show picture 7. How's that? That shows in my driveway, this is my driveway now, my neighbor's driveway to the right of me, his garage and our garage is to the left. And that's the garage in the back of Lantern Lane again.
And show with that red dot where the proposed garage will be.
Right where this shed here, that's going to be removed, and the garage would go right from that point back.
Attached to that existing garage.
It would be, yeah, it would start right where that shed basically is and go towards the back, and then be attached by a roof right there.
And then any doors for the proposed garage would be consistent with where those garage doors are.
Correct, they would face the same direction. And go to 6.
That's hard to figure out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's only doing the roof across. He's not going all the way up.
Right.
That just shows now my garage again and the neighbor's garage behind me at that section there.
Okay, keep
It's
going.
pretty simple. How about 5?
But 45 feet long, huh?
Now, you know, can you go to 4 first? Go to 4 first. Because this follows suit of what was on that side. This is the same picture. My garage will be over this side. That's the garage that backs up to mine, and that's my neighbor's same set of garages across from his on that side there. You see that? So we have my garage over here, this garage that backs up to mine within 3 feet, and then the garages across from that. Okay, so it's pretty much what's in the area. Okay, now go to 5.
Are those,
Would you like me to go back?
You can just leave that on, can't you, Mike, and just use your computer and change the picture?
I'm trying to be helpful for the television folks.
you're doing a good job. Mr. Franklin, those garages in the back,
These here?
are they the ones that's facing Park Avenue, Paulings Road?
They actually, the back of them face Park Avenue, or Paulings Road, yeah. The back of them garages face Paulings Road.
Thank you.
Then the next building, did you say that's yours?
That's my neighbor's. These two are my neighbor's garages.
Oh, right, okay.
Okay, go to 5. Now, this is Lantern Lane, and this is the garage that butts up to my property in the back. You can see my garage, see the back of it right there, almost, and that's my neighbor next to me's garage, and this is the garage that backs up to us. Like I said, he has a 20-foot setback variance for his garage on Lantern Lane.
But you have 45 feet from there into the other garage, the back of the other garage?
Yeah, well, we'll have 50 feet between the garages. Between this
You're
garage,
saying it's going to be 45 feet long.
yeah, I'll still have 30 feet to the property line and 20 feet to his garage. So we can go to number 1.
You said you have 30 feet,
Yeah, I have 30 feet to the property line with the new proposed garage,
and then he has,
and he'll have 20 feet
20.
from the property line to his garage. So I'll be 10 feet more than he is away.
and the length of your new garage
It's 45
connected
feet.
to the garage that exists will be how much total?
45,
45 from,
Plus, no, that's the new one only.
yeah,
okay, the length of the new garage is what?
45.
And, no, you didn't, that's not my question.
Oh, I'm
See,
sorry,
Attached to the garage already existing
okay.
comes to what?
The combined total?
Yeah,
I don't know what the other garage is, I'm gonna say probably 40, so it's gonna be 80, 85?
and connecting with just a roof?
Correct.
Since we're asking questions, that roof, what's the width between the existing garage and the new garage and that roof?
I'm gonna say approximately 9 feet maybe, in between,
So it's
8 or 9 feet.
It's not a carport,
No, no, you won't fit a car into there. No.
but the new garage will fit 2 cars,
It'll probably fit 3 cars.
3 cars.
I know last time the board had a problem with how many doors. We were going to put 4 doors, so I can change that to 3 or 2, depending on what the board likes.
Would you mind putting that picture up, the last one you had up there?
The last picture.
Put up,
The
I
Rainer
guess
Lane
4.
garage. Nope,
Yeah, I
not that one, Mike. The one
would
with
say
the
that-
brown, the one with the brown garage.
I would say that garage probably is about the same length as what we're going to have as
Oh,
well.
that's not the one I want.
Okay. Which one did you want? 1?
I want the brown garage on Lantern Lane.
From Lantern Lane side? Go 5.
That double garage or triple garage that sits there. Were
Pardon?
you, that garage that you pointed to,
Yes,
was that there when you bought the property?
yes,
That was there when you bought the property?
correct. Yeah, that's his house garage there, attached, and then the detached.
I understand that because I wondered how that garage got put in there when it got put in there. That's enough, okay.
And then if you look at 1, that's looking at that garage behind the backside from my neighbor's property. That's the size of the garage. And my garage would be in this area right here, on the other side of this fence, back up there.
So you have an empty spot there?
Yeah, it's empty from, that garage is 20 feet to my fence, and then from my fence to the other garage is just a large open area.
Okay.
And I think that's it for the pictures.
Now, the point of that, Tony, is to show, in your opinion, whether your proposed relief is consistent or inconsistent with the neighboring properties. And what would you say?
I think the proposed is very consistent with the neighboring properties. I only showed really the ones that are connected to me. But if we go further down the road, we can see that there's much larger garages as well. I just tried to show what's right there with me.
But so your opinion is you will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood?
Absolutely not.
Now, you also spent some time and went out and talked to your neighbors about
Correct.
this.
What
And we have attached as an exhibit in the packet, I believe it's A5, what we call a consent, bless you, consent of neighboring property owners. And what you did was you took the notice that went out to the property owners within 500 feet and attempted to explain to them what you were planning to do.
What I did was, I wrote a small note at the top of the page, as you guys can read, that explaining the situation. So I went to my neighbors' properties. I took the plan, I guess, or the mailing from the township of the 500 feet, and I tried to hit every home in the 500-foot radius that was attached to get approval. I've managed to get quite a few. If you take that page and you turn it over, I got front and back. I think I managed to miss 6 homes, and basically they were people that either were never home or people that just didn't answer the door, the car in the driveway but would not answer the door. Everyone I talked to was in favor of what I was doing. They were quite fine with what I was doing. One of my neighbors behind me, actually on the corner, next to the big garage there, was shocked the last time that I didn't get it. I would like them to have come, but they're an older couple. I really didn't want to drag them out at night. But everyone on this page is in quite favor of what I'm doing. They don't think it's going to detract from the neighborhood. They don't think it's going to bring their property value down. I've talked with all of them. I got a good head start on my campaign, my political campaign, I guess, because it was
That might not be a good thing
It
to
was
say.
quite well. It was quite fun, actually, meeting everybody and talking to people that I didn't know. So I got to meet a lot of the people that I didn't know from before.
Well, having said that, then, you feel that you've satisfied all the elements of the zoning ordinance for granting a variance?
Correct.
That it's the minimum relief that you need, and that there are unique circumstances with regard to this property that aren't present in other zoning districts of this type?
Correct.
That the property is non-conforming and it's uniquely, strike that, it's that's the hardship,
Correct.
correct? Let me just double check, excuse me, make sure. Finally, why is this important to you?
Like I said, I have a passion for automobiles, and my sons are in the same, in the same thing. And we've managed to collect some antique cars over the years, and I'd like to bring them in one spot. and
You're
keep
not
it
going to use
in
this as a
spot.
body shop or a paint booth?
Absolutely
or-
not, no. No, it's for storage only. I'll sign whatever you want me to sign, that it's going to be for my personal use.
I
for my
believe that's all I
automobiles.
have.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a question. All these signatures,
Yeah.
you got on or after March 10th of 14?
I got the letter from the zoning officer. I don't know what date that was. After it was sent out. After the notice was sent out, he had given me the plan, and that's when I started to go out and show and ask them. Most of them already received their notice. They've already received the notice from the township. I asked them, I said, did you receive a notice? They said, yeah, we did, we read it. And then I showed them my plan, asked if they would be in support of it, and everybody was happily to sign it for me.
So these are all recent.
They are all within, that mailing being sent out. Yep.
And how many cars are you going to have there, how many cars do you have there now?
I have 3 there now. And I'm going to add probably 3 more in the new garage, maybe 4, if I can squeeze it.
You have 3 in all that space?
Mm-hmm.
They're small.
There's only 3 doors.
Most things,
There are only 3 doors.
they're not Cadillacs. The rest you leave.
It does seem to me that that the new garage, 22 by 45, that would actually hold considerably more cars than that. Are you going to use all
Well,
the
like I said,
space?
when I was before, the plan was to put 4 doors in that, so I could put 4 cars in there. But the board didn't like the amount of doors. I know there's 14 doors next to me. I have 3 currently, and I wanted to add 4, but I'd be glad to add 3 or 2 and make it whatever the board's okay with.
If you had 4, and I was looking at your plan, it looked as though the back end of that garage, thank you. That's proposed additional gravel parking, that's the little square that's right on the,
Yes. That's existing. There's an existing gravel area there now, and we're just
Right.
going to add a little gravel area beyond that to go to the back of the garage.
and you would probably want to do that regardless of whether it was 3 doors or 4 doors.
Correct. It doesn't affect my impervious.
With 3 cars, do you need the full 45 feet? You think that's something that you,
Well, it's only 22 feet deep, so I can only fit one in, head in. So I'd like to have the 45 to put, at least put, if I can get 4 in there, get 4 in there. Future
Okay.
expansion. Future purchase.
And this would be a single story?
Yeah, single story.
It wouldn't have the second story
No,
of the
no second
existing-
story.
On the list of the neighbors, I saw that you had all 3 neighbors across your back, one directly in back of you, and then the 2 on each side, and the
Yes.
one on one side. It appears you're missing someone on the other side of you.
The one on the other side of me is here tonight.
I thought I saw him here.
Yeah.
Is he going to testify?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, we tried to get everybody in, tried to meet everybody.
What's,
And one, oh,
Oh,
sorry.
sorry.
I have one final, and I'm sorry.
You
that
gotta
was
go
my fault.
faster than that, mister.
I'm old and slow. I'm sure it's right on here. Where is the seepage bed going to be?
It's going to be in that back grassy area. See, it says existing grass area in the
Grassy
back.
area.
Beyond the garage, it'll be in that back area. You won't see, it'll be underground. They're designed to be underground and unnoticed. You'll see a little pipe sticking up out of the ground only. If you look at the detail, they're pretty simple. The rainwater downspout pipes go into a pipe, and they go underground. They go into the seepage bed, and then there's a clean-out pipe at the other end.
What is the grade toward the back?
I'm going to say it's fairly flat. Everything's pretty much
Okay.
flat back there.
So it's not as though it's going to get pumped in the ground and then
No.
run down
I'd say
and
it's-
pop out in your neighbors?
Water lays there now a little bit, but like I said, it seeps right into the ground, but it doesn't run on anyone's property. There's no water runoff from any of the, I'm going to say, the 3 neighbors or 4 or 5 neighbors that are connected to me are all pretty flat. I don't think I get anybody else's water, and I don't think nobody else gets any of mine as it sits now.
Okay, thank you.
May I?
Well,
Yeah.
Kathy had,
On
George
the
had her
same
hand up.
subject, on the seepage, what are the dimensions of this? Will it go from side to side to the property, of the
There-
property?
this one I'm
There's no
gonna-
dimension noted.
Yeah, I'm going to say, well, we didn't design it yet. I'm going to say it's probably going to be about 6 feet by 10 feet, probably by about 3 foot deep is what my guess would be.
And is it similar to a French drain? Because
Yeah,
I'm familiar with
similar to
that.
French drain.
Underground.
And it's all underground.
Underground, I
So you
understand
won't see, it'll be grass on top, I'll cut the grass just like normal. It'll just be like almost like a vent pipe in your front yard, a sewer pipe
Right.
sticking up, same thing in the back.
And the second question, your tenants that are there now.
Yeah.
Do they have use of a garage at all?
No, they don't.
Or are they totally?
No,
their-
it's an older woman that's there, she's been there for quite a while, she just has one car, it's only one person, and that's it.
Is it possible, though, that as that rental changes, there'd be other needs where a person might need a carport or 2 cars to park, and you would not be able to accommodate that?
I usually don't. I've owned the property since 2002, and I haven't run into that ever. No one's ever had the use of a garage that's
They
been there.
haven't, okay.
Yeah, it's always been 1 or 2 cars, and if you look on the plan, there's 2-car parking right behind the house. And that's where the tenants park, right behind the house. I've been lucky with good tenants over the years at the property.
And I guess I have a third question. I don't really understand why you need to keep a separation between the 2 buildings and cover it over with a roof. If you're not using that space
Well, the
as storage,
grade
why you
kinda-
wouldn't join those 2 buildings into one
The
and
grade
have an
kind of
entry?
hops up there a little bit.
It's a
so
difference
So the
in-
doors would be higher on the one than the other. So I just figured if I kept it separate, it'll be just an easier build.
Okay, it's because of the contour of the
Yeah, I
current
would like, just make it an
existing
easier
land.
build, yeah.
And have you considered using pavers at all instead of some of this? Because your impervious coverage is really high
Well, that's
on
the.
this small lot.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the seepage bed.
But that's at the back. That's not helping all the paved area.
The front,
that
the front
currently
was
is
already there.
runoff.
Yeah, the front was already there. You know, I mean, that's already existing when
know,
I
but
purchased
still adds
it.
to the problem.
And it doesn't actually push any water onto my neighbors' properties at all. My neighbors are really all nice people and all in favor. They were all, had no problems whatsoever with what we were doing.
But some pavers in that back part of the driveway area might assist to get that number of impervious coverage down. Have you considered those at all?
I haven't yet, but
Okay,
it's
thank
not an
you.
impossibility.
I just wanted to know if you gave that.
Thank you.
Kevin, do
I'm
you have a
finished, thank you.
question?
I was just curious as to what's there now, where you're proposing the buildings, just a grassy area?
Pardon me?
Where you're proposing your new garages, is it just a grassy
Just
area?
a grassy area, yeah.
I don't have any other questions.
I have a question. I'm trying to figure out the driveway on Pauling Road. On Pauling Road. Yeah, no.
The driveway comes off
Audubon.
Audubon. Mhm.
I see existing grassy area, then I see your dotted line stop. Is
You're
it
looking at
straight?
you're looking at the plot plan?
Is it straight? This one I'm looking at. Who? Is it straight back?
You're looking at the plot plan?
The one in your book here,
Okay, and you're looking at the entrance from Audubon Road?
right.
That just goes straight back.
It goes straight back?
And it curves, see the little curve where the shaded area is? It just curves away and goes back in again.
I was wondering what that little area is.
The horseshoe area, the
The
parking
horseshoe.
area.
Yeah, that's just paving. Oh, okay, that's a grassy area, I'm sorry.
See how this goes right through the house?
Yeah,
and-
that's just a grassy area.
Right.
Yeah, all the
and
white
back,
is
look,
grass.
It's half here.
Yeah. All the white on the plan is the grassy area. All through the front of the house, the side of the house, going back to that horseshoe, and going back to the existing garage is all grass. And then the very back of the property is all grass, which will all remain.
Tom, do you have any questions?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Talk about the grassy knolls. You gotta be careful of those. Mr. Branca,
You're gonna get it now?
the antique cars you have in those garages right now, why would you want to rent a garage for what your antique cars are worth? It'd be crazy, wouldn't it?
Correct.
I mean, you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars for their antique vehicles, are you
That's
not?
correct.
So why would you want to rent one of those garages and take one of those antique cars out of there? It would be crazy, wouldn't it?
I have two sitting outside currently at two different people's properties, one in Plymouth and one in Collegeville.
And the
Under
reason why
car
you
covers.
want, the reason why you want to put those garages up is to protect them, protect your property, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you know, I don't think Barbara and Alex would appreciate you calling them old.
Who's that?
Your corner neighbors on Land.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Lake.
yeah.
I mean, they're nice people.
Very, very nice people.
They're not old either.
Very nice people.
I'll stipulate that they're not old.
Yeah, well, I'll stipulate that too. The guy, he's a big man. The other thing I have is the township sent out a list of 43 names that this plan went to, saying that if they had anything to say, they should be here.
Correct.
I don't see anybody here.
No.
Do you see anybody here? Well, I see one guy that lives next door to you, or has his garages next door, but he doesn't count.
No, there's, like I said,
He
it was,
sits in this chair that I sit in. so
it was
I-
overwhelming, the support that I got from the neighbors. And like I said, it was nice to get to meet some of the people that I've never met before. Actually, they're just nice people. And everybody was good.
Well, I don't think the guy behind you with that big four-car garage behind you would have anything to say with you
Yeah.
coming up.
Now, everybody on Lantern, like I said, everybody on Lantern along that whole side. One's a fireman, Lower Providence fireman, is the house next to him. You have the Popes on the corner, which you mentioned, the young folks on the corner. And like I said, they're all great people.
Matter of fact, the last thing they had at the Audubon Rec Field, I saw some cars parked in your driveway and parked in Mr. Thomas's driveway.
Actually-
Is a convenience because the lots were full.
Yeah, the lots were full, so I have a few friends every once in a while call me and say, hey, you mind if I park in your driveway? Because I can't park on the baseball field, so. My tenants are really good too. They don't have an issue with it, so they'll park back by the garage, and then when their baseball game's over, they take their cars. We were involved in I have 3 young sons. Well, they're older now, but they all went through the Lower Providence ARA baseball field. I used to spend all my Saturdays there, donating time, bringing my, dirt in and helping out with the fields and all.
One other thing I want to clarify for my own is there's going to be no repairs done in those garages,
No.
right?
No.
You're not going to be replacing fenders?
I have my brother has an automotive repair shop with lifts and all that stuff, so I use his repair shop,
So it'll be strictly storage.
storage.
That's all I have, Madam Chairperson, thank you.
Okay.
I have another question. You don't intend to rent any of those garages out?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Like I said, if you guys want me to sign something, I have no problem with that. I need storage for myself. That's exactly what it's for.
Do you have any questions?
Just a couple of preliminary housekeeping items, Mr. Branca. I noticed in the application that it lists you as the applicant. However, this property is owned by both you and your wife, correct?
Correct.
And is it fair to say that she joins you in this application?
Correct.
And you can, in essence, testify to
Absolutely.
that
Yeah, she was on
here?
last time. I don't know how she didn't get put on this time, just a mistake,
Just
but
wanted, I
she was on the
figured that
last
was the
application.
case.
Yeah,
I just
she's-
wanted to make sure.
Yeah, she's highly involved in the sport of collecting automobiles as well.
And I'm sure if you were representing that she would join you in support of this, that she in fact would, that you wouldn't be in the doghouse as a
No,
result of your
absolutely.
representation of that here
Actually,
tonight.
she had to work tonight. She's a nurse. She had to work till 7. I thought maybe she'd swing by here on her way home, but I haven't seen her yet.
Hold on a second here. What's your main business or line of work?
I'm a carpenter.
And do you, as a carpenter, what kind of work do you do?
I do house renovations, store fit-ups, stuff like that.
And when you bought this property initially, what condition was it in?
It was in pretty poor shape. It was well over, I used to actually rent a garage from next door when the previous owner owned it. And when that popped up for sale, I made an offer on it and we bought it. It was overgrown with trees. You couldn't even pull in the driveway. I'm trying to think of their name. Rosens was the name. And they've owned it since like 1950. They were like the original owner. Real nice people. I think she might have went into a nursing home and then the son sold it. He was an attorney out of Malvern. And I bought the property from them. The garage doors were falling down. Actually, his father operated a repair shop out of there. He did television repair. That's why the second story on the garage, he used to go in there and tinker with televisions. When I bought the property, I filled the 30-yard dumpster with old televisions and stuff like that was left behind. So I cleaned the property out, put all new doors on, restuccoed the garage because it was really in bad shape. I don't have any pictures, I don't think, but it was in pretty bad shape.
So you improved the property as a result of your
Absolutely.
acquisition. So I presume that the neighbors are very thankful that you did that.
Sure.
And they've expressed that with your Exhibit A5, I suspect, to a certain extent. The neighbor that is, if you're facing your property from Audubon Road, the neighbor to the right, who was that?
That is Janice, trying to think of their last name.
Wishingrass?
Pardon me?
Is it Wishingrass?
No.
No, it's further up. Go down?
She's down further. I met her too. She's a real nice lady. I met her. Actually, I think her husband was involved in some politics in Lower Providence many, many years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I talked to her for a little while. She's a real nice lady. But Brett and Jody they live there. It's Janice's son and daughter-in-law.
And
Very nice people, yeah.
And I presume that this was supplied in your application, I don't remember, this Google
Yeah, that was probably
map,
last time, yeah.
this Google aerial. Is this a pool back here in
Yeah,
there?
that's a pool in their backyard.
Is it still a functional pool?
Yeah,
or-
it's still a functional pool, yep.
And have they, I was looking on here to see if they had provided any consent.
Yeah, they're on there. Janice is like one of the first ones, I think.
Oh, yeah, I do see it, okay. Mason, I guess?
Yeah,
is the
Janice
name?
Mason, there you go.
Janice Mason.
That's it.
I was just curious to know whether they, I mean, now if you're sitting at your pool, you look at a grass
Yeah.
area next door, and now there's gonna be less grass. I didn't know if they had an objection or not. Okay.
Now, Brett was going to try and come tonight, like I said, a few of the neighbors were going to try and come tonight, but I told him, I said, look, I have your signatures if it was an issue, but if you can make it, great. If not, I think Brett's daughter's birthday was today, so they were having a birthday party for her
Well, the
tonight.
concern that the board has, and you would probably understand, is that people tend to complain after the fact that something happened or something was approved when they had the opportunity to be here. And I just wanted to sort of vet that person in particular because it looked to me as if anybody had a complaint, they would be the ones.
Mr. Clinton, that's exactly why Mr. Branco went to every property and told them what he was doing, for that very reason.
Mr. Brandt asked you a question about, in your opinion, will the seepage bed improve the property or will it work? and I don't mean to mischaracterize what you said, Bob, it's something to that effect, and you said that it would, and what's the basis for that opinion?
We're putting in something that's going to control water. So even
But have you
if-
had experience with the control of water in your profession?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Have you done a seepage bed before?
Every job has to have, every job today, any kind of addition, house, new home, everyone has to control their own water. So of course, it's going to help the situation, absolutely.
But you've had experience with seepage beds
Yes.
before?
Correct.
And that's what the basis of your opinion was? I'm just
Yes.
seeking clarification.
Yes.
I didn't know if that was, if the board knew
Mm-hmm.
of your profession or what you had done. Nothing further, thank you. Other questions?
No, perhaps a comment. Obviously, we're reluctant to set precedent that could have long-term adverse consequences for the township, which is why we look at these things so closely. In this neighborhood, that ship may have sailed as far as the number of garages and the construction that's already gone on there. But I just wanted to make it clear that in case this is approved, or approved in part or in total, that we're not trying to set any precedent for any other locations in the
Yeah,
township.
I've said before, I'm not trying to put this in Providence Crossing, in a newer development, and stuff like that. It kind of fits the neighborhood where it's at. That's why I'm building it there, rather than trying to get something approved at Providence Crossing, because I don't see that happening. So, like I said, it really does fit the neighborhood. If you drove by the property, you probably won't even hardly know it's even there. There's a 6-foot-high fence on the one side that goes to Park Avenue, or Paulings Road there. So, when you're looking from Park Avenue, there's already a fence there. My neighbor behind me, Jim, with the garage there on Lantern, him and I have talked about adding to that fence and making it, just cleaning that area up, because it's an old wiry fence. Him and I are going to probably split the cost on taking that down and putting a new one up. But like I said, you drive down Audubon Road, unless you're really stretching your neck to look at it, you won't even see it back there. It's surrounded by everything else, every garage that's there.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, my big concern is you have a use for it that, is not, in my opinion, not offensive. It's the guy that comes after you. It looks like a big commercial property
Yeah.
with all that garage space.
Well, we've already talked about that house, someday, I'll be 50 this year, someday, that may be where I, settle down. Taxes are pretty reasonable still over there, getting out of hand in Providence Crossing, but,
Mrs. McFarland, if I may, that's one of the reasons that I asked the question earlier about whether this is for his personal use or not, and whether he'd agree as a condition to any relief that you would consider granting it, that be made a condition, as well as that it not be for a commercial purpose, and I think he indicated it would not be. And that may give the township some mechanism for relief for that quote-unquote next guy. So we'd be happy to have those as conditions if the board were so inclined.
And the other thing I question is, how does this fit under he says it's a non-conforming use. How much can you expand it?
No, it's non-conforming dimensions. We didn't indicate that the use is non-conforming.
Okay.
The lot is non-conforming from a dimensional standpoint. There's what you're speaking of is that notion of a non-conforming
Non-conforming
use
use and expansion.
has an expansion of a constraint of maybe 25% or something.
Right,
Yeah.
25%.
And I guess we have, Mr. Thomas was present, who was going to testify. I don't know if that's,
We don't allow him to do that.
okay.
You have to be sworn in, sir.
Sir, you solemnly swear to testify that you give us the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Say your name, call the board.
Donald Thomas, 19 North Trooper Road. My brother and I own the property standing on Audubon Road to the left with all those garages. That garage there is mine. I don't have any problem with this at all, and I just wanted to come tonight to add my voice to all the neighbors. And Tony's been a great neighbor, and his use doesn't seem to conflict with anything that the neighborhood has now. And he's right, even on my property, it's going to be hard to see that his garage is back there. You really won't see it from anywhere, in my opinion. And I just wanted to come tonight and support him. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, you're not off the hook yet. He's been such a great neighbor, I think he's outdone you. I mean, his buildings look a lot better. You better get him over there to start working on yours. Now I'm in trouble.
No comment, sir.
But where does it stop? That's the question I think the board's been wrestling with, which is where does it stop? He gets his approval, then the next neighbor wants it because the neighborhood is suitable for it, and then the next neighbor, and then the next neighbor. So where does it stop?
I don't know.
Just because you're there doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else should have it.
You're the cause of it. You and your garages,
I didn't build those.
It should have stopped in 1800,
right?
is when it should have stopped. It keeps rolling down the hill, and everybody keeps catching it and catching it and catching it. And this board here has been catching it and catching it and
Right.
catching it
Well,
too.
that's the issue, is what's...
That's right. So, what
Not-
do you do? Never got it across because
What does he store in his garage?
Not to be glib, but
He's storing his
it's,
garage.
it's,
Of course.
the board
He rents it.
decides where it
a
stops.
commercial
I
property.
personally support this
Was a
granting
builder.
of this petition because I don't feel this is the point where it should stop. If I was coming in for my property, and I have a great deal of back lot there, and I wanted to add garages in, and I came in for approval to add garages so that I could rent out more garages, I would expect that you would say no in a very loud and firm voice, because additional commercial garages in that neighborhood shouldn't be, I don't think, my personal opinion, shouldn't be allowed. However, personal use garage makes a lot of sense.
The one that Tom was talking about before on Lantern Lane, I don't know the names of the folks that have that one.
it's Pope.
Pope?
No, he's not
No, it's
Pope.
Palermo.
That's not Pope.
Huh?
Palermo?
owns- Palermo.
Palermo has the brown garage?
The garage, yeah, right there.
Sorry, but.
What is that used, what is that used for? Do you know?
He's an automotive guy as well.
Storing cars?
Yeah, he has a mobile home, or I guess it's a motor home, in the big section on would be the left from the back.
Right, right.
Oh, okay.
And then cars on the right-hand side. He's an automotive guy as well.
Okay.
And isn't it nice he puts his motor home in the garage?
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Driveway, isn't that nice?
No, it is very nice.
Actually,
amazing.
it is.
How many mobile
Looks
homes
very
we
good.
have all over the township? without-
No, and that's a hefty price tag to have that little house for a motorhome,
It sure is.
so.
Are
Other
you-
questions?
Are you done
Yeah.
with me, sir?
Any,
Thank
Bob?
you, Mr.
We are done.
Thank you.
Kathy?
I don't have anything else.
Okay, Mr. Solicitor.
I don't have anything else.
I just,
Bob, do you?
nothing else. I just move for admission of all my exhibits. Thank the board's consideration and would really appreciate it if we would get the relief that we requested.
But the
Thanks.
hardship, that's one of the other struggles that we've talked about in the back. The hardship that you're advancing is, it's not self-inflicted because he bought the property as it is, right?
That's correct,
The dimensions are the dimensions.
correct,
You can't change that.
correct.
Um,
And I'd give you another point. There's a case called Hertzberg, which you've probably been sick of hearing about, which relates to dimensional variances.
Right, it's a lesser standard.
The Hertzberg doctrine basically says it's a lesser standard for dimensional relief. And if you isolate each one of the elements of the relief that we're requesting this evening, you look at the side yard setback of 3 feet, which is already existing, and we're following that line. You look at the rear yard setback, which seems to be the most significant, but that pales in comparison to the relief that was granted for the property that runs next to it. And then if you apply the de minimis Hertzberg standards to the impervious coverage, coupled with the fact that he's going to mitigate any problems of the impervious coverage by the basin that he described, I think you have a classic case of a Hertzberg variance on each one of those 3 elements. And of course, the MPC also recites the criteria for a variance when the board finds where relevant in each specific case. You don't have to meet them all, but you need to meet some where they're relevant. And I think Tony and the pictures made a compelling case for something that's not inconsistent with the neighborhood and will not be adversely affected. And then you add the icing on the cake, in which all the neighbors that are affected have said they support the relief. and you have Mr. Thomas come out and say, I'm an adjacent property owner, I'm supportive of it, I think that speaks volumes about the fact that it will not alter the essential character of the neighborhood.
Okay. Questions, anybody?
No?
Thank you.
Shall we take this under advisement?
However you want to run it, Madam Chair.
Put a motion on the floor.
Wait a second. What would you say?
However you want to operate
Do
the,
you want to go back and talk, or do you want to let it?
It's up to the board.
I'll put a motion on the floor, and you can talk.
All right. The board will have a 10-minute session. And we'll be back.
You want us to leave, or you gotta go?
we'll just go in the
We'll
full.
Just, yeah, just,
Thanks.
Okay.
Thank you.
oh, flies in my drink.
He's been around.
Was it very good, close enough? Okay, the board had a short executive session to discuss this applicant. What are the wishes of the board?
Madam Chairperson, that's you, Nance. I'll put a motion on the floor that hearing Z1405, Anthony Brankett, 2785 Audubon Road, Norristown, PA 19403, represented by Robert L. Brandt, 572 West Main Street, Trapp, Pennsylvania, 19426, be approved with the stipulation that the garages will be used strictly for personal use and that the seepage system be put in according to the township. That's my motion, ma'am.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any question on the motion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed?
Thank you very much.
And I'm coming down to watch
Thank
you,
you, Brett. Come
because
on
I
over.
have two antique cars.
I'll take you for a ride. Come on down.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Hope it works out.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Brandt?
Good seeing you.
You too.
Wow.
It was the good neighbors who did it. No, good luck.
That is huge, getting the neighbors.
Yeah, I know it would be. I don't need it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Who do you know that I know?
I don't know. I know a lot of people.
Nancy, you want to close this
Tom
out?
Brandt.
Oh, I thought he did.
How about Tom Brandt?
Let's close this
Yeah.
meeting out.
Judge Branca.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Who's the move? Who's the
Get a
mover?
motion, Nance.
Do we have
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
You got a second?
I'll second.
I got a third.
Can't believe we're getting out early.
Hey, wait a minute, Nance. We haven't introduced Michael. Don't shut that TV off yet.
Oh, it's too,
No, don't shut it off
Next
yet.
time.
Put
We
the
did
camera
already,
on.
it's down.
sorry, Michael.
Yeah.
Still rolling.
He's still rolling.
Put the camera on that good-looking Irishman there.
How long have you been here now? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Just starting my third week.
Our new zoning officer, and how do you pronounce that last name?
Rosinski.
Marazinski.
Brozinski.
Michael
Rosinski.
Marazinski.
Brozinski.
So the people will be calling you for the problems in the future?
They have begun.
They found you.
Yes. They
Well,
found me.
welcome aboard. We're glad to have
Very
you.
much. I'm happy to be here.
Madam Chairperson,
Greetings, Michael.
one more. Cameraman, put it on Deborah, please. Nancy,
Yeah, Deborah?
I am the new recording secretary for the Providence.
He's my tennis coach.
Seeing lots of
Can't hear you, your mic isn't on.
Oh, I apologize.
Okay.
My name's Deborah Stanish. I am the new recording secretary for Lower Providence Township, so you will be seeing me at all of these meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Now we'll
meeting,
Take care.
a motion to adjourn the meeting?
you got it, three of them.
Yes.
All those in
Motion
favor
to
say
adjourn.
aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. How, what the fly goes?
Thanks, Tim. They know-